All right, so we're going to be looking at slope now. Now, the slope, it's usually the inclination of a mountain, right? Things are going up or down. So here, let's take a look. Find the slope of each line. We need 2 points, right? We kind of started seeing this last week when we had 2 points. So let's take a look. I'm going to choose 2 points on my graph. Make sure the points that if you needed to know the coordinates, the x and the y value, you could choose. Let me choose to begin with a wrong point, okay? I'll choose points on the graph. I'm gonna say that's a wrong point. I can see the x value is 3, but I don't know the y value. It's like 2 point something, right? I'm using the word something because I don't know. So that's a wrong point. Let me do 2 points that I can see the x and the y values. My choices, because I have choices in this case, it could be this point, this point, this point, this point, or this point. Those are my choices, right? For each of those points, I can clearly see the x and the y value. Now, I only need 2 points. I have choices. I have 5 points there. From those 5 points, I'm only going to choose 2 of them. Just to choose 2, I'm going to choose this one. It doesn't matter which 2 I choose, and this one. So those are the 2 points that I'm going to choose. Now my slope, I'm going to write my slope as a fraction, and my slope is going to be the rise over the run. The rise means how much did you go up or down. So I'm going to move from one point to the other, and then the rise is how much does it move up or down. And then the run is how much does it move to the right or to the left. On my rise, again, it's opening up or down. Positive if it moves up, negative if it moves down. On my run, it moves sideways from left to right. Positive if it moves to the right, negative if it moves to the left. All right, so let's take a look at my points. Again, I'm going to travel from one point to the other. So first of all, from the 2 points that I choose, I like to start from the one that is farthest left from the 2. Now, one of traveling from one point to the other, it seems like I'm going to move up 3. So let me write positive 3, right? I went up 3. So my fraction, I'm going to write a positive 3. Then it seems like I go to the right. I count how many spaces I move, and there are 6 spaces. So it's positive 6. I move 3 up and 6 to the right. Now I got to simplify my fraction. Let me divide, in this case, each by 3, and my fraction will be 1 over 2. 1/2. That's my fraction. Now, at the very beginning, right, when I had choices, and I said, pick any 2 points that you want, once we simplify the fraction, we all are going to have the same. You don't believe me? Try it out with other 2 points. Right? Pick any 2 points that you want. Once we simplify the fraction, we all are going to have the same answer. Okay, let's take a look at question number 10. I'm just going to choose 2 points. Let me choose this point, and let me choose this point. I know my slope is a fraction. So traveling from one point to the other, again, from the 2 that I have, I like to start from the one that's on the left. So first of all, it seems like I'm going up, and I'm going up 4 spaces, right? You can count the squares. So I went up, so it's positive 4. And then I go to the right, I go 2 spaces. So up 4, 2 to the right. Now let me divide each of my numbers by 2 to make my number smaller. So I have 2 over 1. Now when I have a fraction and there's a 1 at the bottom, it stops being a fraction at all. So this answer will be, my slope is 2. Again, when we have a fraction and there's a 1 at the bottom of the fraction, it is not a fraction anymore. Okay, so in this case, my slope is 2. Now, both cases, we had just positive numbers, and I just wanted to deal with that. If there is a negative sign, there's a negative sign. It doesn't matter if the negative's on the top or the bottom of my fraction. I'm going to bring the negative to the front. Some of you like, okay, Mr. Leonzo, what do you mean with that? Let's say I had a negative 3 over 2. My answer will be negative 3 over 2. Right? If there's a negative sign, bring it to the front. You guys might be like, well, what if the negative was at the bottom? Let's say I had a positive 3 over a negative 2. If there is a negative sign, bring it to the front. So my answer would be negative 3 over 2. So again, if there is a negative sign, whether it's on the top or the bottom, bring it to the front of the fraction. Now, if there's two negatives, because there's negative on top, negative at the bottom, two negatives become a positive. So my answer will end up being positive. All right, let's take a look at question number 11. Okay. I'm going to choose 2 points. I'm going to choose this point and this point. And I know my fraction, my ratio, my slope is a fraction. So first of all, traveling from one point, I'm going to start with this point. It seems like I don't go up or down, so 0. But then I go to the right 4 spaces. So my answer is 0 over 4. Okay. I'll come back to this in a minute. Let me take a look at question number 12. Number 12, the 2 points that I'm going to choose is this one and this one. And I'm going to start traveling from this one. So it seems like I go, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces. And then I move 0 sideways. So 4 over 0. So one of them is 0 over 4, the other one 4 over 0. I want to look at the special cases. Special cases when there's a 0 in the fraction. Now do me a favor, pause the video and grab a calculator, go 0 divided by 4. Okay. 0 divided by 4. Use a calculator. Go 0 divided by 4. Good. Should be pausing the video, but 0 divided by 4 will end up being 0. Okay. So number 11, my slope is 0. Now do me a favor for number 12. Pause the video and divide on your calculator 4 divided by 0. So you got to type in the 4 first. 4 divided by 0. So it'd be nice if you type in, if you pause the video. But 4 divided by 0, depending on your calculator, it will say error. That's what most of them say. Some of them said, I can't do it. Or some of them even give you the rule. We cannot divide by 0. Right? The calculators cannot do this. Now, there is such answer for these, right? We could just say does not exist. We abbreviate that as D and E for does not exist. So for those of you that are texting and you guys abbreviate your words, yeah, we started doing that in math first. So you're doing math idea, but do not exist sounds too simple. So to sound a little sophisticated, to sound fancy, we're going to say, the other word that we have for does not exist is, let me write this thing down right here. Undefined. Undefined basically means it doesn't exist. It just sounds a little more fancy. So again, let me come back on our notes. Sometimes my slope might be a fraction. Sometimes it might be a whole number. Some cases you might deal with negative signs. Sometimes your slope might be a 0, or sometimes your slope will be undefined. We're going to use the word undefined. Okay. Now, keep in mind, when there's a 0 on the top, my slope is a 0. When there's a 0 at the bottom, my slope is undefined. Now, sometimes we could do a fraction 0 over 0. Ah, you could even ask Siri. Siri doesn't even know how to do that division. Now we can look, we're going to call that calculus 1. 0 over 0 is a very important fraction, but we'll see it in a few years.